Cherubs, the other day I was on a road trip with some friends. I know, I'm surprised as well that I have any friends. Well, during this road trip, the radio played Human, the Killer's hit song from 2008, and after we got over our depression that this song is nearly a decade old, one of my friends said, "This song has the most ridiculously bad lyrics." And then she paused, waited for a moment, and said, "Or maybe the best." I'm going to take up that bet, and I'm going to go with the best. Let's start our analysis by addressing the central question of the song. Are we human, or are we dancer? This question proposes a dichotomy with an implied negative and positive answer. We should either want to be human, or we should want to be dancer. Before we can do anything else, we kind of need to understand both the options that are given to us. To do that, we need to know how the term dancer is to be perceived here. It has been posted on various lyric internet websites that this is a reference to a Hunter S. Thompson quote about how America was raising a nation of dancers who are afraid to step out of line. Under this interpretation, the preferred answer is human. Obviously, we would prefer to be humans with free will rather than dancers with a set routine. So let's call this interpretation of the word the Thompson theory. If, however, the term dancer could be applied to the art form, the question takes on a different meaning. Dance in a 21st century context is a creative and energetic act. The rule and line of dance has been replaced by an act of emotive expression. Even when a dance is heavily choreographed, it's still a creative act. When we say the word dance today, it implies a freedom of movement rather than a constrained choreography in most circumstances. Even as early as the late 19th century, people like Friedrich Nietzsche were claiming that he did not know what the spirit of a philosopher could more wish to be than a good dancer. Good dancing implies good thinking, free thinking. So if dancing implies an aesthetic release from the rules of societal expectations, then it is, of course, preferable to answer the central question of the song with, "We are dancers." So to discern how dancer should be interpreted, and which of our theories we should take as our foundation, we must look beyond the chorus and search for clues in the rest of the song. Defendants of the Hunter theory typically refer to the line, "Sometimes I get nervous when I see an open door," in the first stanza, as proof that the singer is afraid to step out of line, afraid to leave something behind. After this, from what I can tell, they fail to produce any other evidence to support their theory. As far as I know, I'm the only defender of the opposing interpretation, the aesthetic theory. So here's my defense. First, just listen to the song. The resonance of hope in Brandon Flowers' voice when he says dancer and the corresponding depression in the word human, but this would be as ambiguous as the Hunter theorist's open door defense. So let me propose something more substantial. If we begin with the premise that dance is meant here as a creative outlet, that at its best, dance and artistic expression generally has the ability to bring one closer to the divine, then we begin with the differences between Plato and Aristotle, along with the landscape of art theory and philosophic traditions that have extended beyond them. Think of Raphael's well-known painting, The School of Athens. At its center, Aristotle motions downward toward the earth, while Plato points upwards toward the divine. One references our ability to observe the physical world around us, while the other references our ability to think abstractly. They seem to be asking the same question as our song. Are we simply humans of the earth? Are we defined by the limitations of our bodies? Or are we capable of so much more? Can we convene with the divine and move among ideal forms? Are we Aristotelian or are we Platonic? Human or dancer? In the Platonic tradition, there exists a document known as the Corpus Hermeticum. A major thread within this text is that of mankind's creation in the image of the divine and its ability to consequently create just as its creator had done. In the text, the physical world is sometimes viewed as base but beautiful, and other times the physical world is viewed up as straight up evil and restricts and confines mankind. From both perspectives, however, mankind is able to transcend the physical by appealing to the part of itself that can create, the part of itself that's similar to the divine. Sculpture is the typical model for this transformation in the Corpus Hermetica, But the general idea maintains that humans can become more than humans when they utilize their divine half rather than their terrestrial half. The intellect, the mind, abstraction, and the ability to create art are the facets of humanity capable of greatness, while the body is corrupt and temporary, made of dust that will return to dust. The well-known Platonist from the 4th century, Plotinus, is famous for saying that he blushed because he had a body. He would rather forget that fact and focus only on the parts of his being that could save him from the vulgar nature of the physical world. Okay, so let's take that distinction between Aristotle and Plato and apply it to the song. The speaker is clearly writing from a deathbed. He mentions that his signs are vital and his hands are cold. While contemplating death and the release from his physical body, he demands to know whether or not he's simply human or if he's something more. In the second stanza of the song, the singer bids farewell to abstract concepts, which would be the focus of a Platonic philosopher, while lamenting his ailing body, which would be the focus of an Aristotelian philosopher. Grace, virtue, good, soul, romance, and devotion all get a mention. They all imply the possibility of something beyond what can be observed, and they reflect the speaker's remorse at having to leave them due to the fragile nature of the physical. Those concepts cannot die. They will continue, even if his body will not. This is emphasized by the closing of the first stanza, when the speaker rhetorically directs those around him to close their eyes, thus removing themselves from at least one of their earthly senses. In the final stanza, the speaker discusses the dichotomy between the physical and divine once more when he asks, "Will your system be all right?" A reference to the physical systems of the body. "When you dream of home tonight," a reference to the mental and creative powers of our mind, our ability to imagine what is not there. The song, at its core, is about this duality, the reliance of a divine and creative nature in a fragile and ultimately perishable body. This is perhaps why the song's lyrics include dancer as the art form rather than painter or sculptor. Dancer better emphasizes the issue because it uses the body in order to transcend the body. At the moment of death, our speaker struggles with this question and asks desperately whether we are all simply physical or whether we are perhaps dancer. The hope is clear in his voice and in the music that accompanies it that we should all hope the answer is definitively dancer. That the virtues of our creative abilities are greater than the corruptible physicality of our bodies. The problem with my whole argument, though, is that the writer of the song, Brandon Flowers, is a Thompson theorist. That's right, Brandon Flowers actually said that the song was influenced by the Hunter S. Thompson quotation. But I would argue that the song got away from its author. This happens sometimes, and Brandon, there's no shame in it. Some of the greatest and most memorable stories we have are like this. The song is better than you intended, and that's okay. A Spanish monk, for example, who once hoped to teach his readers the importance of repenting now rather than waiting for late in life, first penned the story of Don Juan. The story was meant to persuade those people who lived a sinful life thinking that they could be absolved of all their wrongdoings just before death through confession. It didn't really go down like that, though. Don Juan has become one of the great myths in Western civilization for very different reasons. He's a romantic hero who stands against the constraints of moral behavior and adds passion to life. We talk a lot about the interpretation of art and authorial intent on this channel, and I think Human is a great example of a work that is made better by totally ignoring the intent of the author. The song meditates on a question that is as old as humanity itself. Human has become something more than the author intended. That's my opinion anyway. Come at me in the comments. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing. For those of you who have been with me for a while, let me know what you think of the content on this one. I'm trying some new stuff. And thank you for watching.